Hello, friends. This is Coach Bala here. Good to connect with all of you after a bit of a gap, it looks like. There was a rest week, and then the next week we had posted the State of the Union meeting recording. So I didn't want to send one more and give you double the homework. So it's been 2 weeks of 2 weekends of not hearing from me, and here I am after 3 weeks. As they say, you can run, but you can't hide from my messages. So my messages will keep coming. Jokes aside, second week of Peak Miso cycle is done. Some incredible runs are going on. People are getting ready for some races which might happen a little earlier. 26th of April is our race day, New Jersey race day. And I'll send you a link once again. I would love all of you to sign up, especially those in the tri-state area. It's not just a race day, it's also a culmination of a season. It's a celebration of the journey that we have been going through for the last 16, 17 weeks. It's always a time when we reminisce, we cherish our runners, we celebrate each other's successes, and have a sumptuous lunch and get back. Of course, we do some running as well in the middle. So that's really what's expected. And we also have a race day, official RHWB race day in Dallas on a week earlier on the 20th. So I'm hoping to see many of you based on that area to be there. Would love to connect with most of you and run with you. Do the same that I just explained for our New Jersey race day. So two blockbuster events coming up. This is after the Samosa Run blockbuster event that happened to culminate the 5K and Masters race season that happened a couple of weeks ago. So it's all getting there. It's all coming together. Things are converging. The job is not yet done. Let's be very clear. The job is not yet done. So let's continue the focus. It's also a good time to make sure that you don't get injured. So don't overdo it. Strictly follow instructions. Focus on the nutrition that we talked about in our SOU. If you haven't seen it, definitely check out the recording that we had shared or look at the presentation that we had shared. Both of it is there in the Coach Corner WhatsApp group. So all of that is done. So for this weekend message, I want to touch on a couple of very important things. The first of which is a little bit of a somber note, but it also tells who we are as a community. So today in the morning, myself and a bunch of coaches, New Jersey-based coaches, Coach Shilpa, Coach Anand, Coach Saujanya, our Chief People Officer Renu. We had Coach, just trying to make sure that I'm remembering, Coach Aarti, Coach Raj. All of us represented RHWB as a whole to be there for a memorial service, a somber event of the spouse of one of our runners, Manoj Adru, and his daughter, who is also a runner with us. Manoj was trained under Coach Shilpa as well as currently under Coach Sapna. His daughter is now currently being trained by Coach Aarti. And unfortunately, as life has its cruel ways, his wife, their runner's mom, was taken away from them at a very, very young age, just nearing 40, due to a medical condition. So this event was organized in memory, celebrating who she was as a person. And we all were there to represent all of us to be there in this somber event. It is, of course, a very sad event, but it was also an event where people spoke about who she was as a person, the kind of impact that she has led in other people's life. And there used to be a time when Steve Jobs, I think, told that behave and conduct yourself in your life in such a way that when time comes for your own memoriam, what do you want people to talk about you? The answer for that is how you need to be thinking, executing yourself, connecting with people, and doing what is right. That's really what he was saying. And it's a very profound thought. And today I saw on the other side, being in the audience, the common theme that came out for this wonderful lady, Saujanya, who departed, was about how kind she was, how caring she was, how she believed in spreading happiness to people, and how she put others in front of her, others' needs in front of her all the time, and how she was inclusive in ensuring that people around her felt comfortable, not just with her, but with the environment. That's who she was. And that is the theme that kept coming again and again and again. And I'm just bringing that up as maybe that's all we all should be focused on. If we can do all of that, if we can be kind, if we can be thoughtful in our words, very importantly, and in our action, be inclusive, be in a state where if you can drive happiness in other people's lives, prioritize that, and just drive impact in other people's life by adding value to other people's life. You do that, I think you've done a great job about yourself, and all other things will follow. That's really a uplifting message that I learned today. I knew this, it's just that I relearned it. It has kind of cemented that thought, and I thought I'll share with all of you. The family was happy that RHWB was represented in full, and let's just keep going. Let's keep doing the good work. The second thing I want to touch on today is this concept of runner's high. As you know, runner's high is our name of the club. And some of you might have known, runner's high is also the injection of a hormone. I would call it the happy hormone that all of us experience after running. And it's a common term. Runner's high is a legit term in the annals of running. And it just so happened that recently I got introduced to a post which sort of double clicked on this runner's high, and I thought I should share it with all of you just to understand what you are going through right now as you are in the second week ending of peak mesocycle. So we all know there are four foundational hormones that comes under the happy hormone bucket that we all experience. But let me lay that out based on what I just read and listened through the lens of what is happening to us as you go through the season. And the idea of me laying that out is you should recognize that you've earned each and every one of these hormonal boosts of happiness that you all are experiencing. So the first one, as you began the season, when you decided to sign up for a half marathon or a full marathon, you felt quite excited. You didn't do anything yet. You just felt excited that the very act of signing up for something that heretofore you've never even thought of creates a pleasurable feeling, an excitement. And that is because of an injection of something called as dopamine. Now, dopamine is a hormone that just injects when some kind of these exciting thoughts comes. There is a sense of excitement. It's a short-lived excitement. It just be there and it just goes away quickly. But the dopamine is real. I'm sure all of you would have experienced it. Then you start, next couple of weeks, you start doing, and then you finally land on that one run where you push yourself a little bit more, or you did a strength training where you pushed yourself a little bit more and you start sweating. And it is something that we all would have experienced it, nothing like a good workout sweat that happens, and where this sweat raises your happiness level. And I'm going to call it a pleasure. You feel a feeling of pleasure of doing something pretty amazing. And that's because of an injection of the next level of happy hormone called as endorphin. So dopamine was there when you just thought about it. But when you just did something and you had a sweat, especially typically when you do a good workout, you will experience it. It's endorphin which is there in your body. The body secretes that and it gives you a feeling of pleasure, of some achievement you've done. And this feeling remains for 5 to 6 hours after the workout is done. And this is what happens after a long run or a run where you hit your own PR in terms of distances or speed. Like you have never run a 3 mile and suddenly you went a long run and you did a 3 mile run. You have never done this before. You feel great for the rest of the day. That's also part of the runner's high as you think about it. So that's the endorphin phase, and all of you have gone through that in multiple times as you have gone through this season. But then comes the next level, where once you start doing this for, let us say, a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, you then start going into the true happiness sort of a portion of it, where this activity of sustained, structured activity that you've been doing for some time creates a setup of wellness, an antidepressant experience where if you don't do it, you'll feel a little depressed. But if you are constantly doing it, you feel a state of high. That is the serotonin that gets injected in your body. So you do this for 1, 2 mesocycles, you are in that zone. 2 mesocycles in, 8, 9 weeks of training in, you feel a general sense of well-being. Physically, but more importantly, mentally. And that's where I connect to the mental strength that keeps developing. If you remember in my past message, I talked to you about your mental strength is getting better and better as you do this more and more. That is the happy hormone. So you went from excitement to pleasure to happiness. And once you get into this zone, this is now becomes very addictive. You want to do this, and that's why when you have a rest week in between, you are like not sure, hey, am I doing something? Am I missing out on something? Am I having a FOMO? All of those experience because you are in a state of antidepressant, natural antidepressant hormone is just filling up, which is fantastic. Which is why all of us keep coming back again and again, by the way. Hard things, the good thing about doing hard things is this. It just makes us feel happy. At the end of the day, human beings focus on trying to be happy. Then comes after 3 months, which is where all of you are. You got to recognize that, and that's the point of this section. I want you all to recognize where you are right now. And where you are right now is a state of self-love. You simply love what you are doing right now. Good or bad, successful or a failure on a particular day, you know that you are doing something right. You know that you've started to believe that this is how I want this to be. You started to start getting into challenging some of the status quos that heretofore you just accepted it. A 21-day sugar-free challenge. Shut down alcohol for 21 days. Start dieting. These are all the things you never ever thought of before you took on this 16-week program. But because you are in the final phase of happiness, the runner's high's happiness phase, which is characterized by this hormone called oxytocin. So you started off with dopamine, which gave you a momentary pleasure. Then you started off with endorphin, where it gave you a little bit of like momentary excitement, dopamine. Then it gave you some pleasure. Then when you went to serotonin, you started feeling happy. And now when with oxytocin, you are in a state of self-love. You love who you are, what you do, you believe in the journey. And this state of oxytocin is where we all need to be. And that's what I keep telling, that this is not a one-off check the box activity. And that is why you see most of the runners are return runners. Most of us keep doing it again and again because we want to be in a state of self-love, in a state of confidence of what I am doing is good for me, in a state where an oxytocin filled brain is helping you to challenge the status quo and helps you to chart new territories that heretofore you never thought of doing it. Whether that is the sugar challenge, climbing a mountain, going on diet, going to other continents, going for just a marathon, all of these things before this particular range was almost unheard of, unthinkable for you. But right now, as you are ending the season, all of this is within the context of possibilities. And the reason I'm trying to tell you around this time of the training cycle is that is where you are. So do not let go of that well-earned position. Start challenging the status quo. Take on new challenges. Fail if you have to. But even if failure happens, you will not feel bad about yourself. You will feel good about the act of simply trying. Dopamine, endorphin, serotonin, and oxytocin. The happy hormones, which gives us the runner's high with Bala. So that's the second message, folks. And finally, as you are going towards the race day, let me ask you a very provocative question that I would answer it myself. Who is your competition? An important philosophical construct that you need to answer it for yourself. This is the time when the definition of who is your competition, if not clear, will lend itself to some very unsavory, unfortunate outcomes. For example, snatching defeat from the jaws of victory is one very common outcome that I have seen if you haven't answered this question: who is your competition properly? What do I mean by that? Let us say you're going in for your first half marathon and you have a 2 hours 30 minutes target. This is your first half marathon. And you go in there, and that day, something you're not feeling that great, the weather was not that great, the course is new, you have not experienced it, you felt some salt issues. So many things can go wrong on a race day. So many things can go right as well, but so many things can go wrong as well. So when all of that summation of good and bad that happens on a day, you end up at 2 hours 35 minutes. 5 minutes more than your target 2:30 that you always thought you could do it. There are two possible outcomes when you think about this scenario. Outcome one, which happens when people snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, is to feel miserable about themselves that they lost out on the self-created target by 5 minutes, completely forgetting the fact that they actually finished a half marathon. And I'm not making this up. This has happened too many times to count within our own organization. And that is because sometimes we forget the larger picture. The larger picture here, folks, is who you were 16 weeks ago and where are you today. That's the larger picture. If you understand that larger picture, then you will know the right answer to the question, who is my competition? The competition for you is you 3 months ago, you 6 months ago, you a year ago. Are you competing with yourself of your past? And how are you doing against that person? If you know, all things equal, you are beating that competition of yours, you should feel incredibly proud of where you are today. Keep that in mind. It's competition is not the friend whom you ran with all season together. Competition is not that person who was worse than you when he started his journey and is now better than you when both of you finished this journey of this season. Those are all not competition. You might think, I'll go for this race and hit a PR. I'm talking for return runners. And you didn't hit a PR. Is that failure? It is not a failure. It is a success. You went to another country, ran in jet lag, in a new course, finished a full marathon, changed up, next day morning took a flight and came back home, and next day morning you started working again. You think you could have done that 6 months, a year ago? A full marathon? No way. But still, if you forget who is your competition, you will feel bad after getting your highest success in your life. So I want you all to think about it. Your competition is yourself a couple of months ago, a couple of years ago even. If that journey is good, boy, you are in a fantastic serotonin-filled lifespan that you are in. Let me finish by saying who was my competition. My competition was myself almost 15 years ago, maybe 14 years ago, when I was walking from my bedroom to my kitchen with a walking stick. When I was writhing in pain every second day because of my incredibly bad lower back. When every couple of days I will stand like a S shape because my body can't take the weight of my own body weight, like my backbone can't take the weight of my own body weight. And it's a negative spiral. A spiral where because of this, you can't run, you can't walk much. Because of that, you put on weight. And because you put on weight, your back is getting even worse. It is a negative spiral that had to be broken. That is me that I'm competing against. And compared to that person, after 15 years, after crossing 50, I can do things that I could have not imagined. Forget about that 15-year Bala. I could not have imagined when I was in a paramilitary college where fitness was everything. I can beat that Bala in college, 20 years old, supposed to be very fit, but I can beat that person hollow. Not even thinking about it right now. I can beat that person hollow when it comes to strength, stamina, and general zest and energy for life. I have done well against the competition that I've had. And I'll continue to do well because I'm shooting for the state of being in oxytocin, self love. Think about all these things, guys. And that's your message. Finish the week strong, and then we get into the taper week. Those of you who are in New Jersey and Texas, I'm going to send you links again. Ensure you sign up for the race day. Thank you so much.